Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. And welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Kevin McDonald, and you're listening to Positive Talk Radio. And we've got a great guest for you today. We've got a great show, and I'm hoping that you'll stay with us for the entire time because we have a magician and a keynote speaker and a crisis hotline phone answerer and all kinds of stuff. So we're going to be talking to him in just a second. But first of all, I have to find out why it's still raining. Eric, why is it still raining?
It is January. You know that, right, Kevin?
And I'm so happy it's January now.
Great. So yeah, Happy New Year, by the way. This is the first time we've talked since we joined 2024. So how's it going? How you doing this year?
I'm doing great. You know, I learned something new every day. And you know what I learned today?
No. Maybe I'll learn it too.
How would you? Did you know 24 is a leap year?
I did, yeah.
Oh, I was hoping that I had something new to share, but maybe there's somebody in the audience who doesn't know that there's going to be a February 29th this year.
Yeah. Isn't that weird? I mean, isn't it weird that our February is 28 days and some months are 31 days and some are 30? Why don't they just even it out, you know? Why? I mean, really, you could take, a couple months that have 31 days, pop 2 of those days onto February, and then you're, 30, 30, 30. Why is it? I'll never understand that, but
that makes altogether way too much sense.
Maybe our guest knows. I don't know, but that's one of those things where I should research it. But I'm still scratching my head over it.
I don't think anybody will have a decent answer for you. It's kind of like that's probably just not the way it is.
Yep.
So in any event, well, so this is leap year, and I think leap years are supposed to be really good luck, aren't they?
Well, it's lucky for people that were born on February 29th on Leap Day because they get to celebrate a birthday when normally they don't.
Well, I got a question for you. If your birthday is on February 29th,
yep,
and somebody asks you how old you are you 4 years younger for every 4 years than everybody else? So you could be 28 and you'd be 6? Or 24 and be 6?
I'm sure you'd like to think that, but a year is a year, whether you have a birthday or not.
Yeah, unless you want to go vote or unless you want to do something like that. So, in any event, just one of those random thoughts I had that I get from time to time. So, I'm taking medication for it, though.
Well, it seems to be working wonders.
Thank you, Eric, and I hope you had a happy New Year. And by the way,
likewise,
there's going to be a gentleman that comes on. He's got this name similar to yours, who's going to be on the show on Friday, if you remembered.
Yes.
and his name is Eric, and he's a musician. Sorry. And he's a magical musician, and he's got a new album that is just out. You're not going to want to miss this show. That's going to be on Kixie, 8:80 a.m. at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But Eric has a new album that is being dropped, as they say, and it is a great piece of music, and we're going to talk about it because I know nothing about his musical expertise and stuff because he's a very private person.
Looking forward to it.
It'll be fun. So and make sure you bring some music to play.
Of course.
Of course, indeed. Well, thank you, sir. And at this point, we're going to talk to our keynote speaker and our magician and a really nice guy. And he also works with crisis hotlines and stuff. So his name is Nash Fung. Nash, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good, Kevin. How you doing?
Well, I'm good. Did you know it was leap year?
I did, and I have a very, very, very good friend who actually is born February 29th. And to answer your question, no, you don't do the whole I'm only 6 year old thing. And they usually celebrate it on March 1st for years and not leap years.
Oh, well, that makes perfect sense then.
Yeah, yep.
That would be weird to be born on February 29th.
Yeah, I can't imagine. And you're right. This is just switch of August, which is 31 day, and switch it to give it to February. I think that makes more sense that way.
I would think, but apparently we're not the ones who make that decision, so it doesn't matter.
I'm really intrigued now. Yeah, I'm intrigued. Why did that happen too? Yeah.
But in any event, you are a keynote speaker of note, but you're also a magician. So what came first, the chicken or the egg or the magician or the keynote?
Ooh, the answer is magic. Yes, yeah.
Okay, give me the answer then. If it's magical, just give it to me. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. I started learning magic when I was about, I say 14-year-old is when I really get serious about learning magic. So and I became a professional magician after I graduated from college. But I've always wanted to be a speaker because I was really motivated by a speaker when I was in college and high school, and I was like, whoa, this is amazing what they can do. And life comes in full circle. Now I use magic as a vehicle to express meaningful messages, so I can become a speaker that way.
And the meaningful messages that you would like to convey are?
Couple of them. It is from my journey. I think you gloss over it a little bit in the beginning. Obviously, as a magician, I always gotta stay creative. You gotta stay innovative. You gotta always reinvent, right? So that's a message I want to share with people: how to always become, stay curious, basically, stay curious, stay innovative. And the other message I have is on empathetic communication, and that is from a long journey of being a crisis line volunteer for 16 years. I learned how to support others through empathy, and that's the skill that I want to teach others so they can help more people.
16 years? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, 16.
What did you start when you were like 5?
I started when I was, I wish, no, I'm not a leap year baby neither. And wow, what I think I was applying to a graduate school at the time. So 22, 20 something. Yeah.
That's something that a lot of people wouldn't necessarily do is, I think I'm going to go to work at a crisis hotline. What is that like to do that on a daily basis?
It is difficult and easy at the same time. I hope I give you a good answer to that one. It's so you get so many different kind of phone calls, right? And you talk to so many different people, and the easy part, believe it or not, ultimately is just you choosing to be human for someone else, showing up for them, just being there to listen. That's the easy part. The hard part is actually fighting some of the urges to like problem solve for people, right? Or you go into problem solving mode, but you don't really get to listen to the other person. That part can be difficult sometimes, because as a magician, my background is in problem solving. Like, I want to solve a trick, I want to create a trick. So it's hard for me to like remind myself, hey, don't do it right away. Spend the time to really listen first. So yeah, that's experience.
Now we're going to get back to the crisis hotline in a second, because I want to make sure that I get the number out. There is a new national number out for folks that are having troubles. And if you feel like you're having trouble, you can call 988. And if you're a veteran, you can call 988 and then 1, and you'll be talking to a veteran, because I think it's really important. There are a lot of veterans that are in trouble, and a lot of people that are in trouble because life can be messy. But I wanted to ask you, first of all, about your magicianhood. What's your favorite trick?
Ooh, that's a tough question. The favorite trick that I had done, I will say the trick I did at the Seattle gum wall. I have a card. Someone selected a card, they signed it, and I made it basically disappear, and it reappear underneath layers and layers and layers of gum on a gum wall. And I did that first on YouTube, and then it got picked up by King 5 TV. Can I name? I don't know, station.
Of course.
On Even magazine. So I did it with Jim Dever. That was a fun experience. So that one is very unique because I cannot tell you how to prepare for the trick, but and I have to say it takes a long time, and you have one shot to get it right. If you don't get it right, that's it. There's no magic. So so that was one of my favorite. I love like high stick magic like that, you know. Similarly, I created a trick for a TV show called Penn and Teller Fool Us, and I was one of the early contestants in like season 2. But that was also a trick that I had never done ever in live audience. And that one time we shot it, that one shot, that's it. That's the first time I do the trick that way for the audience. So yeah, those are my favorite. High stick one.
When you were 14, you started doing magic, but how do you know how to create? Is there like a magician's how to create new trick handbook someplace, or how do you do that?
I'm so glad you asked me this question. I'm really glad you asked me the question because I have a lot of thoughts on this, but I'll condense it for you. So fortunately, in the beginning, my parents didn't like buy me a bunch of books and magic instructional videos to learn. So I may be reading one book for like a whole year, right? And because I did not have the resource, it forces you to then create your own spin on a trick you learned already. So yeah, it's kind of ironic that I think it's deep down my parents might be a little bit leery about me want to be a magician, so they didn't really give me a lot of resources, but that made me more creative and they made me want to do magic more. So that plan backfire on them. But yeah, you basically you kind of have to force yourself into thinking of different ways to present your trick and just making different combination. You know, like you learn this move here, you learn that move there, and you're like, what if you combine them together? Then you can create something different. So I'm not a musician. I think you have a magical musician guest on Friday, right?
Yes.
But I think it's kind of like songwriting. You just think of different notes and put them together, and you're like, oh, that jams. Like or even like culinary arts. You know, you different flavor, you put them together. Oh, that jams together. That's awesome. And then one thing leads to another. You just create things. Yeah.
Now, do you find that you need to have a certain dexterity in your fingers and your hands to be able to do things as quickly as, because I'm afraid I don't have any of that. I got short, fat fingers. And so that would come into play as a magician, wouldn't it?
Certain moves, yeah, but for the majority of the moves, it doesn't take any crazy dexterity that normal people wouldn't have. Like only a certain moves are like you gotta have really big hands or long fingers. And I tell you what, if you have shorter, bigger fingers, it actually helps with coin magic because a lot of times, like you try to hide a coin in between your fingers. If I get like for my fingers are skinny, so there's a lot of what we call windows, a lot of gaps between the fingers, and that does not hide a coin as well, unless except for people like with meaty fingers, it hides it like a curtain. So don't say it was so short, man. This could be a New Year resolution. Learn some coin magic, Kevin.
Are you meaning to tell me that when you make a coin disappear, the coin really didn't disappear?
I am telling you the truth. Yes. I mean, no, it doesn't just disappear. It's very ingenious way to make it look like it disappear. Okay. But there are more ways to do it than just fingers hiding it though. So beware of that. So anyway.
So because you did, now do you go out on tour? Do you have an act that you put together, and do you want to do that, or do you incorporate it with what you're doing now with your keynote speaker? Because I think it would be a really cool combination of keeping the audience, interested and activated and learning at the same time.
I do. In my keynote, I use magic to illustrate couple of key messages, and the magic is the experience of the magic itself is what creates that feeling. And it was very difficult for me to explain it, right? But it's one of those things that you really have to experience it to know what I mean. And yeah, I use that because I think a lot of folks who go to conferences, they see so many speakers. So you have to deliver your message in a little different ways to keep their attention and keep them excited. So yeah, I definitely use magic in the keynote.
It's a unique niche that you occupy, because not obviously not everybody can do that, or is good enough to be able to do that. But your niche is, hey, look, I've got a great message and I've got a great presentation, and so you marry the two things, and it becomes a really good, entertaining evening for everybody.
Thank you. Yes.
It's kind of like a one of those, a stage hypnotist. Although I haven't seen any stage hypnotist keynote speakers that do that. You know what I mean by a stage hypnotist?
There are a couple of hypnotist keynote speaker actually.
Really?
So, yeah, there are a few of them, and a lot of them talk about the power of the mind. Very, of course, if you're a hypnotist, right, your talk will be very mindset based, And yeah, there are a couple. I can happily send you some links. Maybe they can be on the show too.
Oh, that would be awesome. So my friend Holly Berry ran into you, and you were performing, I do believe. And where were you performing at?
Holly, I remember Holly. Yeah, it was last year.
Isn't she?
Yeah, it was last year. It was a fundraiser for Treehouse, and it was actually a 10-year celebration. I think it's our mutual friend is Kita Event Northwest, and the name of the owner is Krista, and she was brought up in the foster home environment, so she wanted to, at the 10-year of her company celebration, she wanted to host a big party and also raise money for Treehouse. It was very, very meaningful. So I'm happy to be part of it. Just do some magic, entertain the crowd, get them hyped up and excited, donate money. And Holly was one of the randomly chosen volunteer to join me on stage for a trick. and I, little do I know, she knows you. Now I'm here. So the world works in a very interesting way.
It does work in a very interesting way. But what trick was she part of that she got on stage for?
Gotcha. To explain quickly, it's a trick where I make something teleport from the audience to be on stage, basically. And the trick is, I'll tell you right now. So I have a 2-liter bottle on stage, unshaken, unopened, and she was the one who holding on to it. And in the audience, we have like 50 cans of soda can out, and everybody.
Oh, you're the one who did that.
That was me. Yeah.
Yeah, because she's been talking about that for the whole year.
Oh, she
that has impressed her so much.
I hope she didn't try to replicate the trick, because it wouldn't work without me. I'm telling you right now. Okay, so it'll be a big mess. But anyway, yeah, everybody shake up the soda cans in the audience, like 50 cans are being shaken. But I somehow made those explosion teleport from their soda can into the liter of soda that Holly was holding on stage the whole time. No one was shaking it. So that's what happened.
And did the effervescence in the bottle that Holly was holding, did that overflow, or did it just kind of?
It explodes. It is in a Ziploc bag. I put it in a Ziploc bag too, so it wouldn't like spill over everybody. But yeah, so you put it later in a Ziploc bag, a jumbo one, and they open it through the bag, so that way it's just all the explosion.
Yeah. So let me explain how it was explained to me, because this is from the audience viewpoint. Okay. It's like he had all these cans, and one guy was holding a can, and he said this wasn't opened, but I don't know how he could have done this unless it was like water in there that he had then sealed it back up. I don't know how that could happen, but he shook it up, and he thought he was going to get soda all over him, and he got nothing. And it was like, I can't imagine. I had no earthly idea how he did that. So they were suitably impressed with that one, I got to tell you.
Nice. Yeah. So she got most of it right. That's 99% right. And the funny thing is, actually, a lot of times people cannot remember the details of a trick. So the story they retell sometimes is like way more impressive than the trick itself has happened. And it happened many times in my career. And there are funny stories about that too. So yeah.
Well, and you enjoy being a magician, and you enjoy keynote speaking. Which do you enjoy more?
That's a tough question. I like them both for different reasons, to be honest with you. Obviously, as magic, it's just my passion. I loved it since I was a kid. So to be able to do magic, to basically, be a kid on stage and make a living out of it is a blessing. So I love that part. It's fun. Keynote speaking is definitely very rewarding and fulfilling because, after a show, you get people who tell you the show was great, but after the keynote, people would tell you, how you impacted their lives, how you helped them, and that's beautiful. So I like both for different reasons.
Well, and when you combine the two, you can hold people's attention to a higher degree, I would think, than if you were just doing one or the other.
I think so. I think you hit it right. Exactly. Yeah. It's more unique. It kept attention.
And you must have now, do you use assistants? Do you have like pretty young girls that you work with and that kind of stuff? And do you saw people in half, or is this all, man, did you make the Empire State Building go away, or did you make an elephant disappear or anything like that?
I got you. Those are referred to as big illusions in the industry. So I don't do illusions. So I never had any assistants. I didn't get to play with those like huge giant illusions. So the answer is no. And also I pay less tax for that. I think I have no idea. I don't have an employee, so less tax for my business, I think.
Yeah. Exactly. Now, have you made somebody in the audience disappear?
I've been asked many, many times.
Can you make that dude over there disappear? We disagree with him.
I get that all the time. Yeah, but I cannot tell yes or no. You have to find out. So
well, that's cool. If somebody wants to see you, are you performing, because you're here locally, right?
I do live in Mukilteo. Yeah, I live in the Pacific Northwest with my family. Yeah.
Yes. So are you going to be performing where somebody can go buy a ticket and see you anytime soon?
I don't. I haven't done a public performance for a long time. And actually, that's not true. What I'm talking about. Actually, I was just recently brought to do a performance for the New Year's Eve at the Lottie Hotel, at the Charlotte restaurant for the New Year's Eve party. So on off chance where someone hired me to do something like that, then you can buy ticket. Otherwise, I'm mostly available for private like conferences and learning and development events by company. So yeah, but you know what though, if you want to see some of the magic, you can find me on social media. I'm on Instagram a lot, posting a lot of magic with me, my little daughter. She's 4-year-old, so I teach her Cantonese, and I would do magic in Cantonese with her, and you will see she understands absolutely everything I say. It's pretty amazing. So want to see something cute like that, hop on my Instagram.
She must be adorable.
She is. Yeah. I don't know how to say it sometimes. Like, I don't want to, like, oh, my daughter's so cute. I hate saying that, but she really is an angel. She's so sweet.
No, understand. Your dad. You're allowed to gush over your 4-year-old.
I am. I know. She's my world, my friend. Yeah, I love her.
Well, that's awesome. We're going to need to take a break in a minute, because I wanted to separate the two sides, because now I want to talk about the crisis center and how you can help people to learn how to help other people that are in distress without telling them what they need to do, and can be supportive for them, because that is an art form unto itself, I would think. Because go ahead.
No, go for it. I think you're right. Exactly.
Because what I would do is say, well, I think what you should do is this, and then you'll be fine, and that'll be okay. And then I hear, them. I don't think that would go well, because they don't want this. They want to be heard, not talked to, I would think.
You're right. So you know how to. Yeah.
So we're going to take a break real quick, and when we come back, we are talking with our friend Nash Fung. He's fun. He's a fun. Never mind. That was a stupid joke. Anyway, so we're going to take a break. You're listening to Positive Talk Radio on KKNW 1150 AM, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Do you need to boost your sales? Join our partnership program. Each quarter, we promote 10 partner businesses. What will you get? The company will produce one 30-second video for your business. Your website links on positivetalkradio.net and kmmedia.pro one dedicated podcast or radio show per month, one video Instagram reel, one YouTube short, one 60-second clip for social media taken from your interview, and at least one commercial airplay per show. All podcast and video commercials are within the fabric of the show and will remain in the show forever. Visit kmmedia.pro to book a consultation today.
When you want to say more than words communicate, you can with flowers. Your custom boutique floral studio in Bothell, Washington is anaturaldesign.com, connecting you to nature through the language of flowers. Where your people are is where our flowers are beautiful. Your success is our goal.
For being our appreciated listener, you can use promo code PTR20 at checkout to receive 20% off your order.
anaturaldesign.com at your fingertips today.
We believe in the power of telling your stories. We want to help yours be seen and heard. At the Pacific Northwest Collaborative Magazine, our purpose is to connect you to your community. Let's begin by celebrating the accomplishments of local artists featured in this brand new digital magazine. Here, you can learn about opportunities to creatively come together and support our local community and neighbors through the gift of art and service. If your business or organization would like to take part in this magazine, message us on Instagram at pnw.collab. You can download our free digital magazine at KM Media Pro today.
Thank you to our dedicated fans. We are updating our live on-air schedule to make it super easy for you to hang out with us 5 days a week, Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We broadcast on YouTube, Facebook, and live on Fridays with Kixie 8:80 a.m. Seattle Live. You can find our library to binge all the podcast platforms. We can't wait to see you at 3 p.m. Monday through Friday, starting September 4th, Labor Day 2023.
And welcome back to Positive Talk Radio. You're listening to KKNW, and my name is Kevin McDonald, and we've got a great guest, and his name is Nash Fung. He is a magician. He is a keynote speaker. He speaks on all kinds of different topics, and with the intent of leaving you better than he found you. Would that be an appropriate way to describe your work, sir?
That would be appropriate. Yes. I strive to be. Yeah.
That's all you can do is to do the best you can. And you'll find oftentimes that the greatness that you have is within you. And it was always there. And you're helping. What I really like about it, one of my new catchphrases is that you are already great. And we are all already great. We just don't recognize who we really are sometimes. And it's important for us to understand that and to ask the very important question of, why am I here? And what am I here to do? And if you ask those questions, the world will open up to you in amazing ways. And I wanted to ask you, was there a time in your life when you ever asked that? Or did you kind of know that from early on?
Ooh, that is a good question. I cannot think specifically when, because to be very honest with you, I got lucky. Like I started doing magic as soon as I was out of college. So I had maybe a 6 or 9 months of wandering around, not knowing what I want to do, just doing part-time job here or there. But I was fortunate enough to be able to do magic already. So I never had a question about my passion, like what my purpose is. Like right away, I knew, yep, I'm good at this. Yep, I'll be doing that. So yeah, I'm lucky, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I don't think that their luck had anything to do with it. I think that you were gifted in that way. And you were, well, I will say that you were fortunate that you found your calling early in life. A lot of us don't figure it out until we're 30 to 40 to 50 to never. And it's the folks that are in the never category, they're the ones that you and I are hoping to reach, I would think.
I hope so too. Yeah. And it's never too late, to be honest with you. And I'm sure you have talked to many, many guests who discovered a true calling, a little bit later in life, according to whoever standard it is. But as long as you find it, my friend, that it's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
It's like I have a relative who says your expiration date is at the bottom of your foot. I can't see the bottom of my foot, so I don't know when mine is. But until you get to that day and that time, that you need to be doing everything within your power to live your life as good as you can with the help of other people that are around you and to take care of each other, because that's how we will change the world.
That is a beautiful philosophy. I love that.
Thank you. And that really is the reason that I do this show. Is I like to bring on people like you who are really destined to have an impact on people, and you very intentionally are doing that with your speaking and with the magic and with the whole program, because you know that it will have a positive impact and you can reach people that way. It really is a beautiful thing. And that's why Holly wanted me to talk to you so much, is because it really is it's important for everyone on the planet to recognize that, even if it's nothing more than saying hello to the checker at the grocery store with a smile, and to say, hi, how are you? Because we're all human, we're all the same, and we all have got, we've got, okay, I'll get off my soapbox now. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you.
Okay. Yeah.
I wanted to talk to you about working at the crisis center, because you did that when you started when you were early 20s as well. What motivated you to do that? That isn't the typical thing that guys and gals will go and do.
Gotcha. It started off as a it is a requirement, not a requirement. It is somewhat a requirement to apply for graduate school. Like I want to get into a graduate program, Seattle University. But but to do that, you have to have volunteer experience in the mental health field. And I was recommended to, volunteer at a crisis line. And I'm like, okay, let's give it a shot. At that time, I have no idea like what that is about and, how to do this. But I, again, got fortunate again to be on a shift that is filled with amazing people. Some have been doing that for like 25 years when I was on a shift. They are the folks that really make it, worthwhile and fun to be around, right? Because you're right. Sometimes, as I've been doing it for a long time now, there are a high turnover sometimes, because, it can be difficult at times. But if you enjoy working with the people, if you enjoy people you volunteer with on a weekly basis, that you get to know them, get to know the family, that help, So how about answer your question?
Yeah. Well, it did, but which of course leads to another question, which would be, how do you leave it there? How do you do it for like 8 hours and then leave it there and not take it home and kick the dog, or have it affect your life in a negative way?
Good question. So our shifts are usually 4 hours, 4 hours a week is our shift. And how do you do that? Now, I will be honest, for the most part, I would say 99% of the time, I'm pretty good at that, because I knew that I had given my all. I knew that I had, in my, the true nature of my heart, I really try to help someone. So I'm at peace. So that's why I can like leave it. But there are only a certain cases that I still remember today. Of course, I cannot share with them. They're confidential.
Right.
But those are the different reasons why it sticks with me. And so those ones, it's oftentimes the ones where I felt like I can probably break some rules, because as a crisis volunteer, you're not allowed to break, help them individually outside of the phone line, right? But there are times when I feel like I could just do something simple, but obviously I couldn't, and that stuck with me a little bit. I'm like, God, if I can just break the rules sometimes and help someone. But I didn't, of course, and I'm glad I did not, because obviously I'm sure it sets a bad precedent for other people too. So that's why those are the ones that stick with me the most, when I knew I can do more. But for the most part, I feel like I've done everything I can. So that's why I can leave it at that and be peaceful about it.
When somebody calls the crisis hotline,
Mm-hmm.
is there like a common theme amongst them as far as, are they suicidal? Are they trying to stay away from that drink that they know that if they have one, it's going to be 20 until they fall down, and they're looking for support in that? What are some of the major topics that you have to be aware of?
Honestly, there's so many different kinds of calls. You just name two of them, like substance abuse and suicidal crisis, or it can be someone who is currently homeless looking for a shelter, or someone who had unfortunate history with domestic violence. You name them, we get them. Or anyone, or even just someone who just had a breakup and they felt like the world was coming to an end. Then it just needs to talk to someone. I think a lot of times the common theme really is they don't have a lot of support in their lives. Like, we are blessed with friends and families. If we have problem, we can turn to them. From talking on the phone, sadly, there are a lot of people who just don't have that. And sometimes we are the only human connection they have. It's just calling us. But in those like those couple of minutes, half an hour, whatever, how long it is, right? It's important for them. So that, I think support, like real life support, is one of them. Another one is, I think, financial problem as well. It's pretty real. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I was fortunate enough to do 2 jobs that were considered, support. One was a bartender, and that turns into a story. And also, I was a bus driver for 12 years.
Oh, okay.
And
okay,
so
interesting.
So you see all kinds of people that you don't know if they've even had somebody say hello to them that day, or smile at them, or say boo. And if you come across with a positive attitude, you can really affect somebody's day, somebody's life. And that was what I got out of those jobs the most.
You say it so beautifully. It's true. You just never know that one interaction can really change someone's life for the better or worse, right? It can either be, we all had encounters, like we send someone that, is disagreeable and that ruin your whole day. Conversely, if you're someone who is like super positive and bring that goodness to the world, you can change someone's day as well, for good as well. So yeah, beautiful.
And I'm convinced that if we all took the attitude that we can help other people and to change, even if it's just a small thing, to change somebody's day, we will be rewarded for that. And I get rewarded for that daily by just doing it, by just being kind to somebody.
Yeah. I mean, if you can choose, right? Why wouldn't you be kind to someone? Like, why wouldn't you? It's like the minimum baseline for being a human being. I feel like we should all just do that, Yeah.
One of the things that's been rattling around in my head is that I just don't understand, and I'm hoping that one day to get better clarity for this. But there are people that are walking around that believe in hate, division, and fear, because they're living in fear, and they're divisive in that not everybody is the same as them and stuff like that. And to me, that's just a horrible way to live. I would hate to live like that.
Yeah. You say something beautiful too. Like, yeah, sometimes, the other person is not like, I use the word disagreeable, but that could be they're fighting their own, and unhappiness in their life as well. So, yeah.
Oh, by the way, do you know the number for the crisis hotline so that we can give it out?
I actually don't know. I'm the one who received call, but I have to. It's okay. I know it's gonna sound bad, but in front of a dashboard, there's a bunch of numbers. If I'm at the office right now, I can tell you right away. But right off the top of my head, I don't know. But it's crisisconnection.com. You can find them. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you want to talk to us and you know the number, you can call us right now at I know this number, 425-373-5527, and give Eric the number, and then we will put it up for everybody, so that if you are one of those people and by the way, there's no stigma attached to having a crisis. We all have a crisis for, if your loved one leaves you. There's, last hour I was talking to a lady that her mother died when she was 11. Her daughter died at 26 when she was 26, and she had cancer, and her husband has cerebral palsy. So it's kind of like, boy, that's a triple whammy, but she's still positive and stuff. So it's, these things happen to us in life. It's how you deal with it that makes a difference. Now, when you're keynote speaking, do you talk about those things at all? Or what is it that you like to talk to people to help uplift them?
So I use the 5, empathetic communication principle that we use in Crisis Line, and we teach those skills to leaders so they can better support, the people and build a more, encouraging, supportive culture, right? And I literally, because I actually dug up the you can't see it on the radio, but you can see this is actually the training manual that I got when I was a Crisis Line volunteer. I had to dig it up. So, but yeah, there are basically steps to, how to help others. So these are the things I teach other people, right? And one of the things you said earlier, they say, this is actually beautiful. If you see it online right here, it say communication techniques to avoid should statement. You should never tell people, oh, you should do this, you should do that. That literally is printed in a manual. So you hit it exactly on the head. Like you know what, is there to listen, but not like, tell them what to do. So it
is really hard to go into a conversation. I would think, I haven't had to do it very much, but when somebody calls up to you and says, I'm alone, my significant other just passed away, and my kids don't live here, and I'm totally lost and I'm feeling alone. What kind of advice can you give someone that's in that situation or a similar situation that can kind of help them find the way? Oh, hey, Eric, somebody called in.
Oh, nice.
So the number for the crisis hotline is 866-427-4747, and Eric looked it up. So thank you, Eric, for that. He is so handy to have around. And so 866-427-4747, or www.crisisconnections.org, and that's a 24-hour hotline. So if you are in crisis, don't do it alone. You can get help. There is resources out there for you to get help, and you might be fortunate enough to get to talk to a guy like Nash on the other side of the phone.
We have a lot of amazing volunteers indeed. So yeah, and to answer your question, Eric, the scenario you gave me, right? Someone who is alone. If someone's alone and they're talking to you, that's, good, fortunate that they have someone like you, right? But I can give you a more like general like steps to do if you encounter someone in need or someone who's in crisis, right? And I mentioned that earlier, because a lot of times when someone tell you they're in crisis, like for example, your example, I feel all alone, right? You right away, you'll be like, oh, how about this? Have you gone to like make some new friends? How about have you tried that? Have you tried that? Like you go to problem solving right away to try to help them. And we try to avoid that actually. So the first step we do, I'm have right here, the manual right here, is active listening. Really use active listening first. Demonstrate to them that you have understood what they're going through first. Demonstrate to them that you validate their feelings too, by the way. So the way you do active listening is to listen in a non-judgmental manner. And your job is to try to, absorb as much as what they say to you. And the way to confirm to them that you have understood them, right? You paraphrase what they say to you. So if the scenario you say is, I think you mentioned their spouse had passed away, right? And the kids are not home. And you can just paraphrase like, I'm so sorry to hear that. Like, seriously, like, how long have you been with your spouse? You can go in a deeper question, right? And they tell you how long it is, and you'd be like, you've been with them for so long. This must be still heartbreaking for you to not see them anymore, especially being with them so long. So you get the idea, right? So to paraphrase what you heard back to them, when you do that, you make the other person feel that, one, you had given them your undivided attention, and two, it actually forces you to indeed give them your undivided attention, because if you know that you're gonna have to paraphrase back to them what they say to you, it makes you a better listener. It helps you stay present with them. So that is a little, I wouldn't say trick, but a technique we use is paraphrasing, and also validate the feeling. Like, you sound very sad. It must be heartbreaking. Use feelings words help a lot as well. And the third skills is silence. Actually, silence. Give them the time to think. Give yourself the time to think as well. That is very, very important. And I love the part where they say, try to avoid self-disclosure, because sometimes when you hear someone say something like a story that you can relate to, you've gone through something similar, it's very natural for us to be like, oh, let me tell you about my experience of that. When you do that right away, I'm not saying don't do it. Actually, I'm not saying don't do it, but don't do it right away, because if the first thing you say is, oh, I'm so sorry about your story, let me tell you about my story of what happened, then it just makes them feel dismissed, makes them feel being not listened to. Of course, yeah.
It's kind of like, oh, I know that happened to you, and that's bad, but you should have heard what happened. Listen to what happened to me. This is even worse.
Yeah.
You really don't want to go there. And by the way, you said something that is so very, very important. I hope everybody takes this to heart. And that is, I believe that listening is a lost art in our society. We are always thinking of the next thing to say, how I'm going to counter this argument, how I'm going to and we don't listen to what's actually being said by the other person. And the other thing is silence. It is really key. I think that now I can't do it on the radio, but when you're talking and you just let it be and let them soak it in and let them know that you're there for them and you're listening to them. And that can help them a lot, I would think.
Yep. Those are powerful technique to help someone. And I think the last thing you do is you always ask the person who's going through a crisis, you ask them, what do you think is going to help you through tonight? And the reason why you ask that is because you don't want them to be overwhelmed by thinking, how am I going to solve the whole problem, right? You help them take small step, one step at a time. Think about the next step first, right? And a lot of times people don't reach out to help others because they're afraid that they cannot solve a problem for them. They don't know what to say. But from my experience on a phone line, those are actually advantages. When you don't know what to say, it forces you to listen more.
Yeah.
When you don't know how to solve the problem, it forces you to not problem solve for them, but instead be there for them, listen, acknowledge them, and then put the ball in their court. Ask them what's one thing they can do to help themselves tonight, to make tonight a little easier, so that they can get to their final solution eventually, right? So back to what I said, yeah, don't give advice, because you want to give them the power to know that they can solve the problem. Don't solve it for them. Give them the power. Let them, take back that. I'm losing my word over here. Take back that power, basically, that I can solve this problem. So yeah, those are some simple tips I can give. Yeah.
Do you find that a lot of people that are in that place just want to be heard?
Yes. As a matter of fact, most of the time, that is all they need. Just to feel like another human being understand what they're going through. That alone is what helped them through the night, to know that they're being validated. Yep.
So if you are listening to this and you run into a situation like that where somebody's in crisis and is in pain, just sitting with them and listening to them can be very therapeutic for them. Is that right?
Exactly. Yes. It's more powerful than you think.
Yeah, and it would be really good because we all run into that. It's one of those things. It's like when you walk up to somebody and you say, "How are you?" Well, I'm not very good. My husband died yesterday. What in the heck do you say?
You tell them, I'm so sorry and thank you for letting me know this, because it's not easy to open up like that, to thank them for being so straightforward and being honest with you and let them know they're in pain. And you just listen and ask open-ended questions, what was the relationship like? How was he like? How you feeling right now?
Is it appropriate to say to somebody who says that to you, "I'm so sorry. How may I be of service?"
Is it appropriate to say that?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. It's actually one of the best ways to do. You ask them, how can I be a better help for you?
Yeah, that's really good. By the way, you're a very smart guy, and I really appreciate that you are. And you did that for 16 years. Are you still doing it, or have you you're still doing it?
I'm still doing it. Yeah, I shift to doing once a week to once every 2 weeks because I got 2 kids now, and my shift I can't tell you. Actually, you know what? My bad. I can't tell you what time I'm on. I'm an anonymous phone worker, so no one's know what time I'm on. But yeah, I have 2 kids now, so I cannot be as awake anymore. Unlike when I was in my 20s, I can be like awake, But so now I gotta make sure I bring my best self to the crisis line. Yep.
Yep. Well, that happens, and but still, even though you're doing it once every other week. And by the way, if you are, I just had a thought.
Mhm.
If you are retired and you are sitting at home and you're not doing anything, why not go look into volunteering at the crisis hotline? It's 4 hours a week or 4 hours every other week or whatever you put your schedule at. But it would be a great way for you to touch bases with a lot of really cool people in the center itself, and also to be able to help humanity. And you've got nothing else to do, and stop watching TV. Certainly don't turn on the news, because that's no fun at all. So do they take retired people?
They take anybody who want to volunteer, no matter what age it is. They even have I think they still have it, a teen version of Crisis Line. So you can be a teenager and talk to other teenagers. And yeah, I think they still have it. Don't quote me on that because they're in a different department, different room. So I haven't. Obviously, I'm not a teenager when I started, so I think they still have that. Yeah.
Well, and if they do, I hope people will look into it, because it would be a great way for you to give back and to help. And it's you can feel good about it at the end of the day, because you did the best that you could.
Yes, it's true. We want volunteers, so please come volunteer, and we will train you.
I imagine that, well, number one, it's great training.
Yeah.
But I imagine that you're always looking for volunteers, because somebody might have a call that's particularly difficult and they say, "I can't do this anymore." But I don't know. I don't know that for a fact.
It can be. Yeah, it can be. But since it's just good to volunteer, I feel like it really enriches your soul. And the research is 100 hours volunteer a year is what is best without being burnout.
Perfect. That's really good information to know. 100 hours a year, which is basically works out to 2 hours a week.
Pretty much. I think, right? Yeah, almost.
Yeah,
that's it.
So
yeah.
that would be 112 hours, but that's close. That's close. So that's good. Aren't you impressed that I could do that in my head so fast? Anyway.
I am actually impressed. Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, 152. Yeah, little lesson 2. Yep.
So in any event, let's get your information out. If somebody would like to hire you, if you are an employer and you would like to change the culture of your facility, which, by the way, if you positively change your culture of your facility, a couple things will happen. Turnover will go down. Your employees will be happier. Your productivity may actually go up, and you might actually make more money. So that's, and then you can give that money back to your employees. That'll even make them happier. It can be a win-win.
100%. So if they want to get a hold of me, they can find me on my website, nashfung.com, NASHFUNG.com.
And it's not likely to disappear anytime soon.
No, I'm paying monthly fee on a web hosting, so they're definitely staying there for good. Yeah, on my Instagram or LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn a lot too, on YouTube. Yeah.
By the way, Nash, I want to thank you so much for being here. I've really enjoyed talking to you, and I want to thank Holly for having the foresight to say, "Hey, there's a guy you got to meet when she was on stage with you." So I really appreciate it. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Eric, and thank you, Holly, for connecting us. Please tell her to say hi, okay?
I'm going to talk to her in about 3 minutes or so.
Okay.
Yep. So thank you, everybody. And by the way, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got. We'll see you Friday at noon.